More, what is up?
Oh, hey Lisa, how are you?
So good, how are you doing?
Blessed.
Good,
Very blessed.
good. So are you ready for your 73 questions with Lisa?
As ready as I will ever be.
Excellent, let's get started. So, I heard it was your birthday today. Happy birthday.
You heard correctly. It is.
Do you feel older?
Every day I feel older.
Okay, what was the best birthday present you've ever received?
Ooh, best birthday present I ever received. Oh man, I know I'm gonna miss something here. When I was 12 or 13, my mom asked what I wanted to do for my birthday, and Barnes & Noble, back in the day, I'm so old, had just opened up their store location in El Paso, so I asked her, could we spend all day at Barnes & Noble, and we did. When they opened, we were there, and when they closed, we were there. So I spent all day reading books in Barnes & Noble.
Wow, that's so wholesome. Very UD of you.
Yeah, I guess so.
What about the worst birthday present you've ever received?
I'm sure there is something. Oh my gosh, what is the worst birthday present I've ever received? Ay Dios. I can't think of one.
Okay, that's good.
Can't.
Good. So, can you tell us where we are right now?
I can.
Yeah.
We are here on the beautiful campus of the University of Dallas in Irving, Texas, and it's slightly drizzly, but we're right out to, actually, this wonderful overhang, I forget what it's called, was a class gift when I graduated. I remember the class of 08, even though there's nothing on paper that says I'm the class of 08, but this was our senior gift to you.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Okay, what makes this place special? I guess you kind of already said, but yeah.
Memories.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of happy memories here.
Cool. So, I see you wearing some interesting clothing. What exactly are you wearing?
I am wearing what's called the religious habit. Because I'm a Dominican Friar, this is what we wear as part of our daily garb.
Cool. So you said you were a Dominican.
Yeah.
What is your job then? What does that mean?
That means that I have committed my life to the order of preachers.
Mm-hmm.
Our charism is preaching. So we, in different ways, we're all meant to preach as Dominicans. And on a college campus, that is not just preaching from the pulpit, but also preaching by presence, by living in community. In some ways, that is what is the first preaching, is that Dominican friars live together in community, pray the divine office, celebrate Mass together every day. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So where do you live?
Several yards that way. What's called a priory. We live in a Dominican priory. So there are 7 of us, senior friars there. Senior friars, that means that we have taken solemn vows that we have, if you were married, or if you will, married, saying we've promised to live this life forever. And there are 2 novices there. So novices are friars who are at the first stage of formation. They have, if you will, left the world in one way, and they have taken the habit and are living 1 year with us before they go on to studies.
Cool. Can you tell us a little bit about where you grew up?
Yeah, grew up in West Texas, the great city of El Paso. Some would say it's the greatest city in the world. I might be one of those people. Yeah, desert climate. Family was from there. I have a lot of extended relatives. My grandparents still live there. It's a place that's very near and dear to my heart. I love the desert climate. I love the horizon. You can see sunrises and sunsets, and you can see clouds and thunderstorms off miles and miles away. It's beautiful. I love it.
Awesome.
And there are mountains. We have mountains. We have real mountains.
What about your favorite time of day?
I think my favorite time of day would be like the morning, late morning maybe. I aspire to be a morning person, but there is something peaceful about waking up. Now maybe I'll go off on a theological tangent, but yeah, I like the morning.
Cool.
It's a good way to start the day or to set priorities for the day.
Yeah. What is a book that you are currently reading right now?
I am currently reading a book called Forgive for Good. It's by a professor at Stanford University. The book was given to me when I was a novice. And it's by, I forget if he's a psychologist or therapist, but he approaches forgiveness from a therapeutical point of view, which is interesting from my perspective as a Catholic priest and Dominican Friar, because I'm definitely being aware of the insights that he has, because I obviously come across a lot of need for forgiveness, not just in the people around me, but also in my own life.
Awesome, that's beautiful. What is the best year of your life so far?
Oh boy. There are many ways you can talk about best, but I would say the year of 2006, because in the spring I went to Rome and I made some incredibly good friends, and I'm still friends with them today. I would say I also consider some of those friends that I made to be my best friends, like people that I really feel close with. And then in the fall, after summer, you know, I got to go back to my family, and I'd been saving for Rome for like 3 years. So I had way too much money to spend, and I bought a whole ton of gifts. So I was able to give them out to like my family that summer. And then I came back in the fall and I was able to room with my best friends. And sometimes that doesn't work out, but praise be God, it actually worked out. We really enjoyed each other's company and we had a great time, you know, in the fall. So that was, I'd say 2006 was a good year for me.
Cool. So your name is Father Thomas More.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a story about that name?
Yes, I can. When I was thinking about being a Dominican, the Dominican who used to work here at UD on campus ministry, also taught philosophy, theology classes, he said, and he also reminded me of this when I decided to enter, if you're going to request a religious name, because we don't choose, we request, choose a name that will not be shortened to a diminutive or a nickname that you do not like. And you have to stick to it, right? Because if someone calls, like if you choose Augustine, you don't want to be called Gus. You got to nip it in the bud, so that the first time a brother or someone calls you Gus or Brother Gus or Father Gus, you say Father Augustine or it's Brother Augustine. So when I decided Thomas More, I'm still kind of a stickler for that. Not Tom or Tommy or anything else, or Thomas More, because I love the apostle, I love Aquinas, obviously, but there's like, the reason I chose that name was the full person of Thomas More and the uniqueness of his sanctity. So I have stuck to that a few times. Maybe, I hope I've not come off rude to people who have said like, and I'm not gonna have, you know, like be upset if someone says, oh, Father Thomas, I'm like, yeah, that's cool, you know, whatever. But if someone like constantly calls me like Tom or Father Tom, I'm like, it's Thomas More. I'm sorry, it's Thomas More, please. So.
Awesome. Okay, so what is something that always makes you smile?
Dumb jokes. I like jokes, I guess. I'm not a very funny person in that way. Some people are witty. I am not very witty. I just tend to be myself, probably a bit of a doofus, which is okay. But I'd say something that always makes me smile consistently is to see other people happy.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, now to some more serious questions. Window or aisle seat?
Window.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee. I'm weak.
What is your favorite thing about being Catholic?
My favorite thing about being Catholic is, oh man, the incarnate way that Jesus is manifested in my life. He's manifested in the Eucharist, he's manifested in the sacraments, he's manifested in creation, he is made incarnate in the assembled church, he is made incarnate in the teachings of the Magisterium, in the Holy Father, in the history. I would say the incarnational aspect of our faith.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I kind of wrote my thesis kind of on that. But...
Speaking of school and stuff like that, if you were to get a PhD, what would that PhD be in?
I've been thinking about that too. Because I could. I mean, that's an option I can request, is to go on to further studies. I love the liturgy, and that was what I wrote my thesis on. I love philosophy, but it's not something that I don't have a strong aptitude for philosophy. It's a crucial and important. If I were to get a PhD, it would probably be in theology. And if I had to choose, it would probably be in liturgy.
Cool. So, what is your favorite thing about the University of Dallas?
It's so weird. People say keep Austin weird, or keep Portland weird, or keep whatever weird. UD has its own sets of weirdness, and it's a strength and it's a weakness, depending on what it is and how it's manifested. But it's unique and it's distinct, but I think it's a good sort of distinct and uniqueness. I'm trying to be as broad as possible because that can encompass a lot of things. But I'd say it's different, and hopefully it's different for the better.
Good. Well, speaking of for the better or not, what is your least favorite thing about the University of Dallas?
Don't tell. I'm right outside the boss's building. I have so many bosses. I would say the least favorite thing about UD is sometimes people can be closed-minded here. And there's nothing wrong with having your own opinion, even if it's not like, de fide, as we say, like Jesus, God became man, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes people can see, I'll say, bad things or evil things and things that are just different. Different ways of praying, different ways of growing up, different ways of celebrating the Mass. Doesn't mean bad, and that's something that I try to help people see. I mean, some things are, right? Doesn't mean difference per se is good, but it's also not per se bad.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Who is your best friend?
That's a good question. Who is my best friend? Jesus.
Oh.
That's not. It's true, but he is also God. So, who is my best friend? I don't know if I have one best friend. I have a couple.
Mm-hmm.
My brother, Michael, he is 2 years younger than me. We don't talk as much as we used to, but we're still definitely close, and we can pick up a conversation without any time lost, regardless of the time that we spent. I have some really good friends in the Dominican order that I've been fortunate that they're not just my brothers, but they're like my friends, and I can call them, and we have a Facebook messaging group. It's crazy, fun and crazy. Yeah.
Cool. Who is your favorite saint?
St. Thomas More.
Excellent. What is the easiest part about being a Dominican?
The easiest part about being a Dominican. Oh, every time I think about something, I'm like, well, it is difficult, but that is a challenge sometimes. The easiest part about being a Dominican. I don't want you to think it's all awful either, but like marriage. I always say celebrating the Mass, but that's not distinct to being a Dominican, because non-Dominicans obviously celebrate Mass.
Mm-hmm.
It's the easiest. I love the habit.
Awesome. Okay, what about the hardest part about being a Dominican?
Oh my. Oh, that's a good one. I knew that was coming. Most Dominicans will say community, and I think I'd agree in that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's wonderful, and it's one of the reasons why I joined the Dominicans, but it is also quite difficult.
Yeah. If you could switch lives with one person for one day, who would it be?
Switch lives. So I'm not in this person's company anymore, but I am doing what they're doing. Probably someone who works at Pixar.
Ooh, cool. Do you remember the worst homily you've ever given?
Well, it's only been 3 years, so I know I have a lot more bad homilies coming. No, I don't.
Yeah, that's good.
But I know I've had bad ones.
What is your favorite dessert?
One I can eat. I like cake, and I don't get to eat cake very often. And there's some gluten-free stuff. I have a ton of food allergies, but when I was little, my mom, to help support the family, would make cakes. So when our birthdays would come around, she would make, like, from scratch a cake, and then she would decorate it. So, like, it'd be like Superman or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or one of the Disney characters. I really like cake, so I'd say that's probably my favorite dessert.
Cool. What is your favorite part of the Mass?
The Eucharistic anaphora. Right, so the whole Eucharistic anaphora is a Greek word for the sort of carrying on high, which is a word for the Eucharistic prayer. I have a special love for the first Eucharistic prayer. I first read it when I was a kid in altar boy. There's just something all-encompassing about it, that it encompasses the church here, the church in heaven, people by name, suffering, pain, glory, all that stuff.
Cool. Did you play any sports in high school? If so, which ones?
I did not play any sports in high school.
Cool. If you had to join a different order, which one would it be?
None. I'd choose one probably pretty close to the Dominicans. I love the Cistercians and I love the Jesuits, but those are kind of two extremes, not ideologically, just in terms of way of life. One being monks, the other being having a very loose sense of community as part of their spirituality. Something in the middle, where there is community, but they're not usque ad mortem in that place until death.
Do you have a funniest moment during formation?
Funniest moment? Probably involves some sort of embarrassment and shame on my part. Funniest moment. So there is a Dominican friar who's actually a classmate of Father Don Dvorak. They were in formation together, they joined together. So he's probably in his 80s. He's a member of the Central Province, the province of St. Albert the Great. He lived in our house of studies in St. Louis. His ancestry is Croatian, but he grew up in Iowa. So when we saw as student brothers, because each of the priests, would sign up for a mass during the week, when we would see his name, like, signed up for that mass, we knew everyone would be trying so hard not to laugh at the homily. His name is, Dave Dallage, Father David Dallage. He's a little crazy, but he is so funny, and he's so, he has not a malicious bone in his body. There was a friar who lived with us for a few years who was not dour, but just very intense and very serious. There was one time that Father Dave was preaching, and this serious friar was trying so hard to suppress his laughter. Like, the whole chapel was laughing. It was wonderful. But he didn't mean, he was not trying to make us laugh. But yeah, Father David Dallage.
Cool. What is your favorite form of exercise?
So I have this routine that I have, or sort of exercise plan that I purchased, which helps me, as a Dominican, because I'm not always going to have access to a gym, especially if I'm on the road or going somewhere. So it's body weight exercises. Although, a singular exercise, I really love to run. Not short distances, but not 25-mile runs either. I'm not like that.
Okay, cool. How long have you been at the University of Dallas?
Since August 3rd of 2017, so about 3 years now.
Cool. Do you have a favorite meal from the caf?
Coffee.
Okay. Do you have a favorite place to do work on campus?
Outside.
Good.
Outside.
What is your favorite sin?
Favorite? You mean like sin, like 7 deadly sins, or like just interpret
Whichever
however I
you'd
want?
like.
Okay. My favorite sin. Oh man, so I'm gonna take that maybe as the one that I'm most inclined to. I would say a lack of trust in God's presence. Not that I intellectually believe that, of course, but that the details of this life and the skills that are required in the tasks that I have to do as a priest, as a Dominican, as a chaplain, are often things that I'm not good at doing. I don't have a natural talent. And I mean, given my youth, one of the things that I do often worry about is people are going to think less of me if I ask for help. I mean, I don't think I have a problem asking for help, but it is something that I think about what other people think about me. So, yeah.
Awesome. That is beautiful. But also, yeah.
But
you
also
know, yeah.
undesirable.
What is something about the monastic life that people, or the Dominican life, sorry, that people might not be, or might be surprised to hear?
We're both abnormal and quite normal. So our life in one way is quite normal. We get irritated at each other in the morning. Some of us are not morning people. Some of us love mornings. Some of us have bathrobes. Some of us, some of us don't put dishes in the dishwasher the right way. Some of us are neat freaks. So in one way, it's quite like we're not like the movies where like everything has like a secret code and there's like, I don't know, a secret handshake or this Latin and all this stuff. I mean, I love Latin, but it's not very much a part of our lives in that way. We have coffee, we have a Keurig machine, stuff breaks. But I mean, like someone who has no connection with like the faith or God, there are aspects of our life that do seem like really strange, even just the fact that we live together. So it's a strange mix of what is normal and what is unique.
Cool. What is your favorite smell?
Petrichor, or got that from Doctor Who. I didn't know what that's what it was called. There is a beautiful scent that I always took for granted, and I thought it was everywhere in the desert, or at least in El Paso. Not every time, but often before it rains and when it rains and after it rains. The fresh rainwater, when it hits the desert sand or soil, creates a scent of freshness that is just beautiful and clear, and it's one of my favorite scents ever. And the cool thing is it's also a plant that grows in the El Paso desert region that whose leaves smell like fresh rainwater. I think it's called creosote, and it's poisonous. I think if you eat it, or if an animal eats it, I forget. Anyway, but it's favorite smell, petrichor. Yeah.
Cool. Do you have a favorite color?
Red. Or at least right now. I've had several favorite colors since I was like 3. Right now it's red.
Okay, so because you're a priest, does that mean that you don't sin?
No, clearly not. I am flesh and blood. What is that line? Prick me, do I not bleed? Right, from Shakespeare. Sherlock's, anyway. Yeah, no, absolutely. I sin right now. Yeah, absolutely, I sin. But like, it's a part of, just like anyone who's watching this, sin's a part of your life, sin's a part of my life too.
Cool. Do you have a go-to joke?
I don't think so, no.
Have you ever laughed so hard that you cried?
Yes. 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 I'm trying to remember. I want to say there was someone. Oh my gosh, there's a person who makes me. Oh my god. And see, I don't know. I see so many different groups of people. I forget, because there is someone like who just I lean around them. Everything they say is just so hilarious. I can't remember. I know my aunt. My mom's sister-in-law is just mixed. Yeah. So yes, I have.
Okay, we're nearing the end. I have 2 more questions left. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. What is the scariest thing that you've ever done?
The scariest thing I've ever done. So I'm gonna admit, I'll freely admit, like you see on a government report, I'm gonna have to redact the most scary thing. So there is something, but I can't talk about that for various reasons. The second scariest thing, which I would say comes pretty darn close to the first. On February, and I remember this, Friday, February the 13th, I realized that I had missed not just one deadline, but 2 deadlines to complete my theology degree for comps and for my thesis. And I remember, it's on the other side of this building. I remember being at the tower and just panicking and breaking down in tears. Because that day also, we had a landlord, my friends and I, we had a condo at one of the condos across the street. The landlord hadn't received payment for our rent, and so he had called and was just being very threatening and anyway, we didn't pay him on time. And I didn't pay him on time. Having to tell that to my mom, because my parents aren't wealthy, and UD is a good education and it's very expensive. I didn't know if I'd be able to get my theology degree, feeling like a failure. I had to face Dr. Malloy, who's a professor here of theology, and I was just afraid. I was afraid of telling people that I had made a mistake. But it wasn't just that I made a mistake, it was, isn't this so important to me? How could I have not read the instructions? It's not like I didn't have an instruction manual.
Okay.
Don't fall.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Okay. Okay, and finally, what is your least favorite book of the Bible?
My least favorite book of the Bible? My least favorite book of the Bible? Oh, man. It's not Leviticus, not one of the boring books, because they're not that boring once you really understand. Least favorite book? Probably Lamentations. I mean, it's beautiful, but it's sad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard for me.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much for answering my 73 questions.
You are welcome. That did not feel like 73. In a good sense.
Good. Awesome. Well, I'll see you later, Father.
Bye, Lisa.